This is going to explode and go viral. Alright, I guess we pinned the topic so we can start.
Let's get it going.
Be able to see it. Today's topic is what exercises you should and should not be doing to optimize your workout week. So first we'd like to thank our sponsors, Nike, Adidas, Reebok, Rogue Fitness, anyone else? McDonald's, yes, always McDonald's, fueling athletes day in and day out.
I mean, LeBron eats it.
LeBron eats McDonald's,
So,
yeah, and we train LeBron, so that's that.
Yeah.
It is a Human Optimization Wednesday, as we said, talking about what exercises you should and should not be doing to optimize your workout week, right? Everyone has time as a variable, and it's a very limited amount of it. So you want to make sure you're doing things that are going to take advantage of that time and not be spending 2 to 3 hours at the gym. A couple of assumptions for this discussion that we want to put out there. One, we are assuming that we are working out in a post-corona world. Right now, your options of what you can do are fairly limited, right? You're at home. No one's got access to a bunch of weights. They don't have access to machines or equipment. So for the sake of this discussion, we're going to assume that you can go to a gym. I also want to make the assumption, we didn't talk about this one, that you are either someone focused on general health, right? That is your goal. Or you're a competitive or workout enthusiast, like a lot of members that we have in here that want to be able to perform highly in the gym. But this isn't geared towards people that want to be, right, professional Olympic lifters, professional power athletes, anything like that.
Or if you're like an endurance runner and you train for 10Ks or you train for a marathon, that is obviously going to be different than our approach to fitness. What we're going to be talking about is becoming kind of well-rounded. What you should include every week to make sure you're hitting all the bases that you want to hit to be a functioning human.
Yeah, if your goal is something very specific, like to run an Ironman, then what we're about to say doesn't apply to that, right? Because you have a very finite, specific goal. So, lead us off, Adam. Adam's got a little agenda. We're going to talk for a bit, and then we're going to have a little board discussion.
So I guess putting it in frame here, we want to start thinking about exercises, different modalities as tools, right? We have our toolbox every time we go into the gym. We have a bunch of tools at our disposal. And what do we pick to use, right? So we can think of cardio machines as a tool, right? Your rower, your bike, your treadmill.
Not a tool like Adam, but like a tool like a hammer or screwdriver.
Words hurt, but it's fine. Then you have, right, like your barbells. We have weird tools like clubs and maces like we like to use in here on occasion. Body weight can be a tool, right, with a bar for pull-ups or push-ups. And we're gonna use those tools to elicit the response that we want from our body, right? So that can be broken down into broad topics like cardiovascular system. We can tax our muscular system in many different ways, right? We can go for cardio endurance, like going for a long jog, a long row, that's steady state cardio. We can try to elicit some cardio power, right? How fast and efficient can I get my cardiovascular system to fire, like a 100-meter sprint?
It's like our pillars, right? Anyone that's been to the gym or watched our videos, right? We got the 12 pillars throughout the gym, the structural pillars, and we've got those words up and down on them. I can look around. Strength, power, speed, longevity, endurance, agility, resiliency, stamina. There's 12 of them that we look to train. Everything in the gym is a tool that can be used to train one or more of those attributes of physical fitness that we're looking to improve, right? So that we can be good at the sport of life.
Yeah, and those tools can be used, right, to elicit responses that you might not think are there, right? Like when we talk about strength, right? We can break it down into, let's say, strength endurance and actual strength power, right? I could do, if I'm doing barbell squats, right? Back squats. I could do sets of 15, right? At a lower weight, and I could be training my muscular endurance, right? How long can my muscles sustain that output for that set amount of time or reps or time under tension? But I can load that barbell up really heavy and struggle and do like we did today, right? 5 sets of 2 reps, putting in long breaks in between, right? And there I'm straining my strength power, right? My raw strength. As opposed to, right, you could do that with a kettlebell, you could do that with a dumbbell. You could tax your cardiovascular system with weights. It doesn't just have to be on cardio machines. So there's lots of different ways that we can use these modalities of fitness to elicit a response, which I think could make it, right, kind of confusing. Like you walk into a gym and you're like, oh, what do I hit today?
Go ahead.
Yeah. And so we just kind of want to demystify that.
Yep, and let's understand this. Adam's talking about, right, the weight we lift and the number of reps. As the weight we lift goes up, the volume of the reps is always going to go down, right? If you can squat 100 pounds for 10, then you can't probably squat 100 or 200 pounds for 10, right? It doesn't make sense. Those are inversely related. We also need to understand that when Adam talks about tools, everything in the gym is a tool. There is no single tool that is the end-all, be-all, the fucking answer to the world, right? You'll meet these people, you come across them, especially on Instagram, there's a lot of them that are like, I figured it out, dude. It's the kettlebell.
Dude, I got it.
Dude, I got it. I'm gonna use this kettlebell and my fitness, all my fitness, 100% of it is gonna be hit. All I need is this kettlebell and I'm gonna dominate it. You see it with like the steel mace too.
Oh my God. So we're big fans of Onnit. We've been down to Onnit.
Love
both
the
of
steel
us,
mace.
Gotten certified by Onnit. And they're who turned us on to the steel maces and the steel clubs, which are great tools.
Awesome tools.
But, right, and we get tribal in kind of everything, right? All parts of life comes in, like, right, we're eating. We have these base camps of, like, I'm vegan, I'm vegetarian, I eat animals.
Keto.
I'm carnivore diet, I'm keto.
I love keto.
Comes in, right, everywhere. And people get set into these camps where it's like, oh, dude, like, what are you gonna do today? It's like, dude, steel mace. That's all I do.
What are you gonna do tomorrow?
Steel mace.
Yeah. What about next week on Tuesday?
I mean, some steel club with some steel mace.
Yeah, right?
Yeah.
It isn't the answer. Use the tools at your disposal, right? The age-old analogy, it's probably not age-old, right? But is if you were gonna build a house, you're not gonna build a house with just a hammer. It's gonna be a pretty shitty house, right? You need all of the different tools to build that. In this analogy, you are the house. We are trying to build you into the best version of yourself to compete at the sport of life that we can. So let's start talking about some specific exercises you think.
Yeah,
Do you have more
I'm
that
in.
you want to talk about?
No, I'm in.
All right. So I'll pose the first question
Let's get
to
it.
us. If you were going to do only one exercise for the rest of your life, you cannot do any other exercise, what would you do?
So we're gonna do the thing that we just said you shouldn't do.
Right. Yeah, but right. In an alternate universe, you try and do anything else, you can't do it. What are you gonna do?
Oh, yikes. Not like one piece of equipment, but like an exercise.
An exercise, one movement pattern.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, you can't pick a barbell and do deadlifts, push press, squats.
Okay, alright. I'm gonna go.
I've already got my answer. Be prepared, you gotta substantiate this.
Yeah, I don't know why I wrote that so small. I mean, I'm gonna stick with my answer, but you know.
Alright,
Reveal yours.
there's mine.
Well,
What's yours?
do I get to know?
Yeah. Back squat.
Well, back squat.
I'm going with sprinting.
You're gonna sprint it.
I'm gonna put sprinting in there. Alright, why don't you tell me about back squat? Why'd you pick back squat?
So I picked back squatting because leg strength, right, lower extremity strength is important as we're younger in this age, but as we get older, it becomes so much more important, right? As unfortunately the limitations of what we can do starts to dwindle, things that we always need to be able to do to have some value of life is, right, be able to walk around, go shopping, get up, move ourselves around our house.
Second leading indicator of mortality. Right?
Yeah, yeah, that and grip strength.
Grip strength.
And I think that the back squat can be more versatile than previously said, right? I could get pretty decent cardio workout just back squatting.
Sure.
I mean, my legs would be fired up, but I'd be able to get my heart rate up. I'd be able to burn some calories, and then I can also work on that strength as well. The back squat also not only utilizes those lower extremities, right, but it requires you to have a tremendous amount of core stability and strength from your front core, right, your rectus abdominis, all the way through to your back, your rectus spinae. You need to have good trap activation. So it is that base, right? It's what we do when we first are from babies, learning how to walk, and walking and using our legs is gonna be one of the last things we do.
Yeah. And one thing, I'm glad you brought that up, right? Let's talk about core strength. Everyone wants a six-pack, right? Every guy wants a six-pack, girls want the toned abs. So you see people in the gym, crunches. They be hitting crunches until they're blue in the face. Every day I'm hitting these crunches. Okay, get it. Crunches, good exercise. Sit-ups, good exercise. But what we need to understand is that when we're looking at our core musculature, our abs, amongst other things, but we'll just keep it to the abs right now. The primary purpose of those muscles, purpose number one, is to stabilize the spine. The spine is one of the most important parts of our body, right? All of our neurological connections feed down from our brain, through our spinal cord, and out to our extremities. If our spine gets damaged, we're in a serious problem phase, right? We've got some serious issues. So the purpose of our core muscles is to stabilize that spine. The second purpose of those muscles is flexion of the torso. So flexion being this, right? Being able to bend over. So if we're only doing flexion, we are not hitting our core in the best way possible, right? We're hitting one piece of it, not even the biggest piece. The single best way to hit that core is with heavy weighted stabilization exercises. So heavy back squats, heavy deadlifts, heavy front squats, anything that requires you to keep that core locked in place while you're moving heavy weight. And when we say heavy, heavy is relative. Some people be like, I'm not strong, I don't lift heavy weight. If it's heavy for you, if you have a tough time picking it up, then it's heavy weight.
Yeah, I think that gets misled, right? People like see like these big, like you gotta lift heavy, and then they see them deadlifting like 600 pounds. They're like, well, why would I even try? I'm never gonna hit that.
Yeah.
It's like, you know, that guy didn't start lifting 600 pounds. Like heavy, like you said, heavy is relative.
Right.
So you just have to start somewhere and build on that.
But relative in a sense of what your max lift is. So like you wrote that blog a month ago, right?
Yeah.
About HIIT classes and strength training. So if you see, you know, your local HIIT class, maybe it's got an orange logo or something like that, maybe, and they're like strength training, and they got you in there banging out the air squats, strength training. All right, you ready? That isn't strength training, and you are not getting a strength training response from that. In order for something to truly give you the health benefits of strength training, which are countless, right? We're looking at increased bone density. We're looking at better cardiovascular function, believe it or not. We're looking at increased muscle mass, which increases our metabolism and our ability to burn fat. We're looking at increased joint strength, tendons, ligaments. You need to be lifting at 85% of your 1 rep max. That means that the max weight I could possibly squat, we'll stick on back squat, but it can be for any movement. If the max weight I can squat is 200 pounds, then I need to be lifting 170 pounds to get that strength training response. You cannot get it by banging out a bunch of light weights. Does that mean that air squats are bad?
No.
No. Great.
Nick Schaefer did 172 of them yesterday.
Shout out Nick Schaefer.
Very happy with that.
But it's a different result, right? It's tools. It's back to the tools thing.
It's tools.
Two different things for training.
And people might, right, look at power lifters or someone who's working on their back squat and being like, well, they did like a 5x5. And if you're doing a 5x5, you probably aren't lifting 85%. Maybe you're lifting 75%. Or, you know, you're doing, that's different, right? We're building up to being able to lift and execute a lift properly at 85% of your 1 rep max, right? That is where we get the bulk of our strength training response.
Yeah.
All right, tell me about the sprint, Matt.
All right, I went with the sprint, which was a little, hold on, I want to add one thing to the sprint.
You can add?
Yeah, it's just an asterisk.
Oh,
I'm just putting the asterisk up there. So the reason I put the sprint with the asterisk is that sprinting is one of the most all-out things you can do. It's also one of the most base human movement patterns, right? To survive, we had to be able to sprint. Now, granted, to poop, you had to be able to back squat back in the day. Being able to back squat was, right, we haven't always had toilets, people. When you used to poop, we used to poop like this. So an inability to get down like that is a problem to being a human. But sprinting is what kept us alive. Also, sprinting involves almost every muscle in the body, right?
Yeah.
And it involves a ton of coordination of the body.
Mm-hmm.
We think of coordination too often as basketball players. Can I shoot a three-pointer? Baseball players. Can I swing the bat and hit the ball? But that's eye-hand coordination. The definition of coordination is being able to align your body and get it to do what you want it to do all at once.
Mm-hmm.
Sprinting takes a ton of that.
Yeah.
It's going to be a high workload for your legs. You're going to be able to build muscular strength to a degree, right? Because you're hitting at over 85% every time you're banging the ground. You're also able to elicit that anaerobic response. Anaerobic exercise, for anyone that doesn't know, there's lactic or alactic. It's basically anything less than 2 minutes of work. Anything more than 15 seconds, less than about 2 minutes of work of an intense effort. That's going to have huge benefits to your metabolism and fat burning. It's going to have great neurological benefits, and it's going to be the single best way to up your endocrine system, right? So your hormones, more testosterone, more IGF-1, the things that make our body function. Hormones are super important. We do have to be careful with that we're not overtraining, but
which is a very real thing, by the way.
Overtraining is real.
Anybody who tries to, now a lot of people might think they're overtraining, and it does take quite a bit to be in an overtraining state.
Sure.
But it is absolutely a thing.
Yeah, you got to be aware of that. The reason I put the asterisk is this: if you're my age, 30 years old, and the last time you ran a sprint was when you were playing high school football 12 years ago, then I do not think that tomorrow you need to go out to your local track and run 10 100-meter sprints.
Yeah, unless you want to be like in a horizontal position all the next day.
You're gonna be wrecked. Your feet, your knees, your ankles are not used to propelling that force into the ground, very high impact movement, again and again. Also, if you have existing health conditions, if you've got a torn meniscus or you've got a messed up ACL, then you don't need to go sprint. I'm not saying that everyone should be sprinting. I'm saying that if you have the physical capability to sprint, and right, if you're not there yet, it doesn't mean you can't ever be there. We can get people up to sprinting.
Mm-hmm.
If you have the physical capability, this is one of the best bangs for your buck. Also because I could go hit 10 100s in 30-minute workout.
Yeah.
Even if I take all the rest I should.
Yeah.
Boom, I'm done, and I'm gonna be
spent,
ripped up from it. Straight ripped up.
All right, I think we should go ahead before we get to the questions that we got. Talk about, so what should the week look like? What are non-negotiables that you should include in your week of training? Whether that be you have 3 days where you go to the gym, you have 4, you have 5. What are the absolute staples of a week of training?
Okay. So it goes back to there are tools, and remember, we're focusing on you are either looking for general health or you are trying to be just an all-around fitness enthusiast athlete. You know, think of someone that excels in everything but isn't like the bomb in one thing, right? We're not trying to be a strength athlete. We're just trying to be athletic for the sport of life.
Mm-hmm.
With that being said, I think the worst thing you can do is pigeonhole yourself. I'm gonna do this, right? I'm gonna lift heavy every day. Every day of the week, I'm lifting heavy. That's what I do. I'm a heavy lifter.
Yeah.
Because then
I've gotten suckered into some of those programs. Where I got suckered into the squat every day, like squat heavy every day thing, and like
Corey Gregory.
Oh yeah, wrecked my back. Wrecked my back.
Sure. So I would say if it was up to me, here's what I think you should do throughout the week.
All right, let's go. Let's get it one by one.
All right. Number 1, lift something heavy with your upper body, whether that's pull-ups, weighted pull-ups, heavy bench press, some heavy upper body, heavy lower body, deadlift, squat, something like that. Heavy upper, heavy lower. I think you need to do some type of anaerobic like we talked about, some max effort stuff. For 90 seconds, I'm going as hard as I can and I'm taking a rest.
Right.
Then another 90 seconds, hard as I can.
That could be right, like 30 seconds on, 30 seconds off. Maybe you do 8 intervals of that, minute on, minute off. As long as you're right under that, like 2 minutes. You want to keep it from 30 seconds. Upper end would be 130 working, 130 resting.
Yeah.
Hitting a session of that once a week.
I think you need to hit some type of steady state cardio. So that's one thing that we don't do here at JagFit, right? We never have our members come in and we're like, all right, today's workout is you're gonna jump on the Airdyne for the next 50 minutes. Because we would quickly not have very many members because no one wants to show up to the gym and they're gonna be like, the hell did I show up for you to tell me to do that? But for any of you that are our members, that's one thing I think you should be doing outside of the gym. We're coming in here during open gym once a week. 50 minutes, 60 minutes of steady state. It can be jogging, it can be rowing, it can be a long walk if you're walking at a good pace.
Hiking once it finally gets warm over here, you know, like
Not a lot of hiking in Illinois, but love it.
yeah.
Take a flight out to Denver, get your ass some hiking in, you'll be feeling good. Park City, Utah, shout out mom.
I also think that we should be doing some sort of muscular endurance exercise.
Yeah,
Right?
agreed.
Something where the weight's a little bit lower and we're doing a little bit higher sets, right? So let's take, for using, right, I walk in and I'm like, oh, I'm gonna use the kettlebell today, right? We could do sets of 15 kettlebell swings, then take a little bit of a rest, right? And then go to 15 kettlebell presses, right? And then back to the swings, back to the presses, back to the swings, back to the presses, right? Then we'll be training that muscular endurance, forcing our muscles to perform under fatigue.
Yeah, and then the last thing that I want to add in as a non-negotiable is flexibility, but more important, mobility. Now, what I'm getting at there is flexibility is my ability to take a joint through its passive range of motion, right? So, think the shoulder joint, right? Adam could pull this joint to here, test my shoulder. All right, here's my shoulder, right? Shoulder flexion, shoulder flexion.
Yes.
Shoulder flexion. Here's my shoulder flexion. It doesn't matter how far Adam can push that. It matters how far I can control it and be stable in that position. And that's when I think we need to be doing more than once a week. I think we need to be hitting mobility several days a week because that's the one that's gonna keep us performing at all the other shit over time.
Yeah. I mean, how many people, right, if you used to go to a big box gym, you got like those big dudes, right, they can't move their neck, right? They got to turn their whole body to look at you, right? It's
That's
because
me.
yeah, you have compressed and compressed and compressed and loaded your body for so many years without giving it a reprieve, without maintaining those ranges of motion, which kind of defeats the purpose, right? Who wants to be nice, big, and strong, an athletic body, but not be able to move it, right? You don't want to be a prisoner in your own body.
Yep. I got one more I want to add.
One more?
Yeah. Rest. Rest. You should not be hitting the gym hard, smashing it 7 days a week. Because here's a little news flash for you. Your body cannot create adaptation, right? So when you're working out, you give your body a stimulus. That stimulus is, shit, this was hard. I want this to be easier.
Yeah.
So your body goes, all right, let's reconstruct some things. Let's do some tissue remodeling. Let's improve our lung capacity, the muscular endurance or strength. Whatever it is we trained that day, it's a specific stimulus to the body that, hey, I need you to be better at this so that next time this isn't as hard. That stimulus then causes adaptation. The adaptation cannot happen while you're getting that stimulus. So, right, we have to go from stimulus, now let the body rest, let it move into a parasympathetic state so that it can rebuild, remodel, and come back stronger for next time. So rest is one of the most important parts of this equation. However, if you are not hitting the gym hard and you are not pushing yourself and working out, you do not need the rest. The rest is a reward and must come after that intense stimulus.
Yeah.
Yeah.
100%.
Chilling and eating Doritos, it ain't gonna get you anywhere.
But I'm rested. The guys at JagFit said that I should do this. No.
I want to talk about what you should not be doing.
All right. Not be doing.
A few exercises. But let's just talk about some of the things that we see that we're like, come on, man.
All right. I think we got to start it off with the Weeble Wobble.
The classic Weeble Wobble.
The Weeble Wobble.
And I'm not gonna lie, for a lot of years, your boy was hitting the Weeble Wobble and thought I was crushing it.
Smash it.
Back in the frat days in college, I'd be in there in the gym, smashing the Weeble Wobble, like, man, my abs are gonna be shredded from this. So what we mean by the Weeble Wobble, you want to demo the Weeble Wobble?
So Weeble Wobble is, I would get maybe a couple dumbbells, something that's really gonna make my shoulders pop in the mirror while I'm doing the Weeble Wobble. And I would, laterally flex my torso from side to side.
Oh, dude, just smashing the obliques.
Smashing the obliques, dude.
So this has become a very, what's called contraindicted, basically don't do it exercise as we've learned more about it. One, the amount of muscle it actually activates and stimulates can be tested with electrodes, and it isn't a lot. We're not activating a lot of obliques here like you may think. What you are doing is putting a ton of lateral torque on your spine, on your discs, and creating that friction, which over time has a great opportunity to lead to a lot of injury. So risk to reward, not good. What can you do instead of it? Grab yourself an actual heavy weight, heavy kettlebell, heavy dumbbell, walk with it. One side, walk with it. The requirement of your obliques to stabilize your spine in an upright position instead of letting it pull you to the side has been shown to activate significantly more musculature and lead to more gains over time.
Yeah, not only that, but if you're holding the equal weights on each side, hitting that weeble wobble, you're just a pendulum, right? Like that weight on that side is equal to the weight on this side, so it's just pulling you down. You're not even really having to work.
Another one that I'll throw out there, because this is one that you see all the time, like horribly all the time, is the upright row.
Yeah.
Right? So you'll see people all the time at the gym. Let's say this is my barbell or my dumbbells. I'm holding it in the middle and I'm upright rowing. And I'm upright rowing. You'll see that if you go to the gym as soon as Corona's over, I guarantee the first time you're there, you see someone hitting an upright row. What you're doing with an upright row, also a contraindicated exercise, is I'm taking my shoulder, one of the most delicate joints in my body. A lot of people have shoulder issues. I am internally rotating it into an impinged position, and then I'm adding load. I am begging for a shoulder impingement. I'm literally asking. And what is the benefit? Maybe some activation of up here a little bit, maybe some slight bicep activation. It isn't worth it, you know? Hit some military presses, hit some Z presses. You're gonna get so much more out of that, and you're gonna avoid the risk. If you are gonna do some type of upright row, you need to grab it wide outside of your elbows, and you need to make sure as you pull up, preferably with some type of rope or something that isn't in a fixed position, that you are externally rotating that shoulder out as much as you can to train external rotation, which is something that a lot of people lack. External rotation is one of the things we see missing the most in people, their ability to do that.
Anything behind the head, right? Behind the barbell, behind the neck military press, or behind the neck, right? Lat pull down. You again are taking your shoulder into its furthest end range of motion, which it is not used to producing force in, and it's also its least stable. Our shoulder is most stable in a neutral position. And here a lot of times, even when we do like dumbbell Z presses, right? We'll tell you, unless we're doing push presses with the barbell, where your hands have to be in that pronated position, we're gonna tell you to keep a neutral grip, right? This is where your shoulder wants to perform, it's where it's its most stable. By cocking it back there and coming down, you are not getting much more benefit to any muscle, less, and you're also, again, putting your shoulder in that really compromised position and where it doesn't even like to be, right? Like if I externally rotate my shoulder, it doesn't feel good. Like already I'm like, that's tight, and then I'm adding load to it. So definitely don't do that. Just hit the regular lat pull down or pull-ups. It's gonna be really good. You want a military press right in front of you, or ideally, unless you're like training with a barbell, if you're doing dumbbells, hit that neutral grip, right? It's just not worth it to try and do this to get that little extra maybe deltoid activation.
Yeah, I'm here for it. Here's another one. Here's one of the IG ones, and I see a lot of, no zing on chicks, but I see chicks doing this more than anything, and it's usually chicks where they're all fitted out, right? Lululemon. And I call it the combo platter, right? Yeah, we've all been to the Chinese restaurants, and on the appetizer menu is the combo platter. And that combo platter, that's just got everything, right? One of everything. So you can just sample it all. So the combo platter might look like this, right? You'll also see some trainers having people do the combo platter. For the combo platter, I upright raise, lunge down, lateral raise, bicep curl, overhead press, crunch, rotate, tricep kickback, bicep curl, booty swing, shimmy shake. Like, the hell are you doing, right? There is no need to take every movement pattern in fitness and shove it into the most complex workout sequence you ever saw, where really the energy you're expending during that is your brain going, the hell is next?
What am I doing?
It's like that game, right?
Oh yeah.
And then you gotta add one thing to it, and then I add one thing, and I'm trying to remember them all. Like, nah. Just pick something that adds value. Here's one thing that we get into too. The Instagram world gets really into this. The more complex the movement is, the more benefit you get from it.
Unbelievable.
Like, we just picked the single best workout that we think we could pick. You picked a back squat and I picked sprinting. That's it, right? Simplicity works. There's a reason that these simple movements, deadlift, back squat, press, pull up, have been around and have been the staples of almost every workout plan since working out became a thing. It's because those are what give you results. It isn't this complex, silly little sequence that doesn't target any muscle fully, but gives them all just a little taste. No one's eaten the combo platter and been like, now I've had all the egg rolls up. No, there was always one thing on that combo platter that was way better, or two things that was way better than the rest of it, and you were like, shit, I wish I had that.
And I think that right, in people's minds, they're like, well, I only have like 40 minutes to get this workout in, so I'm gonna do, right, all of those movements. Well, it's like, if you have 40 minutes, right?
Plenty of time.
3 or 4 times a week, right? Would you rather get in there and barely work everything, or I'm gonna go in here for 40 minutes and I'm gonna upper body, right? I'm gonna pick 3 or 4 movements that for the next 40 minutes I'm going to focus on and dedicate time to. It is that. That's the ladder, right? I'm gonna pick something that I wanna do, right? My goals, I'm short on time. Let's say for me right now, right, I wanna get, my focus is to get stronger, right? So for that 40 minutes, I'm going to, maybe it's lower body day, I'm gonna back squat. I'm gonna back squat, and then I'm gonna pick a couple exercises that will accessory to that, right? Things that will help me in my back squat. For general health, right? You're gonna get in there, you're gonna be like, I'm gonna hit a little upper body day, but I'm gonna focus on a couple things, right? It's gonna be more shoulders today. I wanna push, right? I wanna horizontally push and vertically push, and then I'm gonna get a little cardio burner at the end, right? Maximizing your time doesn't look like smashing everything together. It looks like choosing what is important to you and dedicating time to it.
Here's another thing, right? You typically see this for people that break up their workouts by body parts of the day, right? The traditional one you see.
The bro split.
Yeah, back bis, boom. Chest tries, boom. Shoulders, abs, legs. Let's think about this. We have now given 2.5 days to our upper body.
Yeah.
And a half a day to our lower body. Our lower body, if we're not a typical, a top heavy bro, should take up over 50% of our weight, right? So why would we only give a half a day to that and 2.5 days to our upper body? Like, nah, unless you are a physique competitor, right? Who it's all about like the arms and the other. Yeah, let's get some functional workouts in. And what functional workouts also means is you shouldn't be spending, unless you have a specific weakness that is causing you pain or discomfort or a stabilization issue. You should not be spending a lot of time on machines, right? Seated machines that focus on a single muscle group is not bang for your buck. You should be using stuff that forces you to stabilize your body, stand up, and move through your natural movement patterns. That's probably the single best piece of advice I could give someone that goes to your Globo gyms,
Right, yeah.
Is use free weights, because they give you so much more benefit as far as general health and athleticism go.
Yeah, great. So I think we want to get into questions. So just a little recap, right? Non-negotiables for your week, right? Some heavy lifting on your upper body and your lower body. We want some anaerobic exercise, right? So that's going to be minute on, minute off, right? Quick sprints.
Very high intensity.
Very high intensity. What would be
90%
deemed, right, hit cardio. Very popular right now, right? Not a bad thing, but a tool, right? Has a place in your week, but it is not the only workout you do. We want to do some sort of steady state cardio for the week. Get outside, go on a long walk with your dog. If you like running, run. If you like rowing, row. If you have a bike and it's nice out, go for a nice long bike ride across the lake, right? Not across like a side of the lake.
Jesus, the biker over here.
We want to train some sort of muscular endurance, right? So get the reps a little bit higher, a little bit lower weight. I'd say it can be fun too. Get a nice pump on. And then we want to make sure that we're hitting some flexibility and some mobility. The good news with that is you can do that at night while you're watching TV. That can be added in, sprinkled in throughout the week. And make sure you get your rest. Awesome. Let's get to some questions.
Bring them on.
All right, first question. How often can you exercise the core?
Ooh, how often can you exercise the core?
So I think that like everyone's heard, right? Like the core, your abs are the only muscle that you can train like every day, which to some degree is very true, right? We're training our core by walking, by sitting upright, by standing, right? As we said, the core's main objective, right, is to stabilize your spine. So basically, when you go into the gym, you are getting a core workout in almost anything.
My thing to that, if we're going to talk specifics, is I would say to train the core every day, except maybe on a rest day, because if we're not going to count like walking as training it. But like, right, if you're lifting any type of free weight for the most part, you're doing some type of core training. If it's heavy enough and you're forced to stabilize, I would say every day. I would say specific flexion exercises, like I'm gonna hit sit-ups or I'm using the GHD sit-ups, toes to bar, what have you. I think, 2 to 3 times a week is probably good on that, because you don't want to overtrain your core to the point that like when you do go to hit those stability exercises, it's so blasted that you can't stabilize.
Right, so like that whole like you can train your core every day does ring true to a degree, but like if you're walking in the gym and you're like trying to like extend your spine, like just is pulling on your abs and they're so tight, maybe not crunches that day.
Here's a fun tidbit for you too. One of the single best ways you can train your core is jumping. Jump onto something tall, jump as far as you can. Those are gonna be some of the best core exercises you can do. A lot of people don't jump.
No.
We love jumping.
Love jumping.
Love jumping. All right, next.
Moving on. Can we equate the weight of a dumbbell to the weight of a resistance band? The short answer is yes, but there are some alterations in the way that you're gonna feel that way.
Every band, if you look it up from where you bought it, should be able to tell you the resistance of that band, be it 20 pounds, be it 40 pounds. It's gonna have a resistance to it. Now, you wanna talk about the curve?
Yeah, so there's an alteration of what's called strength curve. So right, with a dumbbell, right, or with a barbell, right, I'm picking it up. That weight is going to weigh the same from when I get it off the ground to when I stand it back, to when I stand it all the way up. The strength curve of the resistance band is going to be different because from like, let's say I am doing like a chest press, right, with the resistance band. From here to here, it's going to weigh a lot less than from here to here. This is where it's going to be at its max resistance.
Yeah.
That'll explain the graphic.
Right, so if we're talking about that in a band, here is the natural ability of my muscle to produce force, right? We call this the length-tension relationship. So, right, as my muscle is in its, we'll talk about a bicep curl, for instance. When I'm out here in range of motion, this is right here. As I pull, I get into a more appropriate resting length. So we're about right here is a resting length. I am able to produce more force there. I then, as I get towards the end range, lose the ability to produce force, right? I can't produce as much force at that end range. A band does not operate in the same way. So a band, I am going to have the least resistance at the end, right? I come up through the middle. As the band gets tighter, I get more resistance. Then I hit the most resistance from that band at the very end range of motion where I've lost my ability to produce a lot of force. So does that mean that a band is a bad implement? No.
It's a tool.
It is a tool. We just have to take into consideration what we're trying to do with the band. Like a lot of people will use the band, right, for pulls. That is a great warm-up exercise to activate our musculature, but we're not going to be able to hit enough resistance in that mid-range to actually build muscle or get that stimulus to cause the adaptation as we need. We're only really learning to activate at that end range, which is great for teaching us to set our shoulder, but it's not going to really create the development we want.
Yeah. Absolutely.
That was a pretty good graph, wasn't it?
That was a great
like
graph.
I did there?
Yeah, that was solid. All right, is running bad for you?
Oh, I'll take this one.
Yeah,
I love
I think
this
you got
one.
this.
People ask this all the time. No. Sprinting is awesome for you. Long distance, duration running, right? An hour of running is awesome for you. Running every day is not good for you. In everything, right? Single focus, single style exercise is bad for you. I don't give a shit if it's rowing. If you row every single day, it is not good for you. If you back squat every single day, it is not good for you. The most important thing, right, when we laid out the workout week, is variety. If I was the single most important thing in exercise is variety. Do different things consistently so that you get different stimulus and you develop all of your body instead of specific parts. Running, true runners, has the highest injury rate, I believe, of any sport, including contact sports, because you get overuse injuries, right? You get issues with your foot, your MCL, your meniscus, your patella tendon, your hips. You can really wreck your body.
That really repetitive, high impact. I just had a buddy who messaged me this morning and was like, hey, it's coronavirus, I've been running a lot, but like getting up out of a chair, my hip flexors and my abs are so tight, like I can't do it. And we're able to fix it. I was able to give him some stuff to do, but I told him in that, right, like this is, if you keep running at this pace, right, you're running this often for this long, what I just gave you is a Band-Aid for a bullet wound at that point. It's not going to be enough to counteract what you're doing to your body, so you have to give it a break. It's just too much.
Also, running on a treadmill, unless it's one of those curved, manually powered treadmills, those are great. If you're running on a treadmill, that is not a great solution, especially if you're doing it frequently, because if you run outside, I've never seen a sidewalk that moves under you. You must move over the sidewalk. If you're running on the treadmill, you're not learning a correct gait, which is your running pattern, right? It will often lead to a lot of heel striking, which sends forces up into your knees. The only reason running on a treadmill is okay is maybe if you're always going to run on a treadmill, right? Then you learn to run on a treadmill. Running on a treadmill does not have awesome carryover to running outside from a mechanics standpoint. From a cardiovascular standpoint, it's the same thing.
Yeah.
But from a mechanics standpoint, you're going to run into some issues. Gait is a whole nother subject, actual running mechanics. We won't get into that today, but kind of an obsession of mine.
Yeah. Cool. Moving on, we got, is there a time of day that is best to work out?
My answer is whenever you feel like you're going to perform the best in the gym.
Mm-hmm. And I always feel like, I always feel like the grass is greener on the other side.
Yeah.
I've had times where I'm like a morning workout guy and I get really into it. And then all of a sudden, like, right, you gotta be flexible to schedule, and I'm training at night. And I'm like, oh, I miss training at night. Like, I like this better. Then I'll start training at night. And then I'll, have to hit a morning. I'm like, oh, I love hitting in the morning workout.
For sure.
Is your body primed to do stuff at different times of the day more? Physiologically, not really. I mean, yeah, it's negligible. So it's just kind of whenever you feel that you're going to be able to get in there and give it your all.
Right, like some people have heard, right, your testosterone for guys, specifically testosterone and growth hormone, which are two of the major precursors, right? They're what initiate a lot of muscle building. They're very anabolic hormones. They're highest in the morning. This is a proven scientific fact. Testosterone and growth hormone are highest in the morning. However, they have proven, right, that there isn't a correlation between those being higher in the morning because of their 24-hour cyclical nature to being able to generate and build more muscle anabolically. Those are not, they are, what do they say? Causation does not equal correlation. Correlation does not equal causation. They don't apply like that. You are able to build muscle. I would say the most important thing is one, like we said, when you feel the best, when you're gonna hit it the hardest.
Yeah.
And two, you gotta make sure that you can get a good meal in within an hour or two after working out, right? So working out after dinner at 8 p.m. and then going to bed, yeah, that's a bad time.
Yeah.
But
not only for not being able to get a meal, but
Yeah.
heart rate's gonna be super high. It takes about 2 hours for a high heart rate, right, to get back down to base level. So you're gonna sit there and just be awake in bed and not be able to fall asleep. All right, last question. How often and how long should your workouts be?
It depends on your goals.
This is a big depends.
Right?
It fucking depends.
Huge range there. If you want to make the CrossFit gains, you probably need to work out 2 times a day for an hour apiece. Sometimes that's steady state cardio, sometimes mobility, but yeah. If you want to be a happy, healthy human, then I'm gonna say kind of a baseline. What you should be doing is you should be moving 6 days a week. Solid amount of movement. But movement could be gardening. It could be going for a walk and walking your dog.
Mm-hmm.
And then hitting the gym and getting an intense workout in 3 times a week, 45 minutes.
Yeah. That's really all you need.
You on board with that?
I'm on board with that. Yeah, I think that like a lot of people are like, oh dude, you couldn't handle what I do. I like go to the gym for like an hour and a half, like smashing bis and tries. It's like, yo, it's just too much. Like you get to a point where it's like it's diminishing returns.
For sure.
Yeah, and right, it's got to fit into your lifestyle. I think that a lot of people like right when they pick up the gym, right, like they haven't worked out consistently for the last 2 years, and you get that motivation, right, which is a fleeting feeling. Motivation is not what you need. It's to develop discipline and consistency, right? So you get that motivation, you're like, I am about to become the gym person. I'm going 5 days a week. Probably 6 because I'm gonna be feeling it.
Yeah. 2 hours.
For 2 hours a day, I'm gonna smash it. And that motivation, right, that fleeting feeling can carry you through the first week. Then all of a sudden, you feel like shit because you just obliterated your body that was not prepared to do that in any sort of amount. And then you're like, well, shit, I heard I can't do this, and then you give up on it altogether. So picking that 3 times a week, right, to start and getting that, and then focusing on those other days. General movement. Let me get my, let me go for an extra walk. Maybe I won't take a lift home. It's a 1.5 mile walk. I'm not gonna take a lift home. I'm gonna walk. Going to take your dog for a walk, taking the stairs every day. Making those a focus and getting in the gym and giving your all 3 times a week, 4 times a week, that tends to grow as you get better at the gym and you get more enjoyment out of it. So I would say for anyone starting out, definitely pick that 3 times a week. And then if you just, we're busy, don't feel bad about getting 3 or 4 gym trips in a week. That's perfect. That's great.
Even 2. If you're coming in and smashing it twice a week and really smashing it, you're gonna be all right. So is that the end of the questions?
That's the end of the questions.
All right, let's wrap it back up. Things you should be doing every week. Lift heavy with your upper body and lift heavy with your lower body. Hit something anaerobic, which means super high intensity for 90 seconds or less, rest. Super high intensity, rest. Super high intensity, rest. Steady state cardio, 45 minutes or more of continuous output. Walking, running, biking, whatever have you. Flexibility and mobility, 2 or more times a week. And muscular endurance, right? Hit 10 to 15 repetitions of whatever movement pattern you're doing. Stay away from machines as much as you can. Stay away from silly workouts that you see on Instagram. No one needs to be standing on a freaking inflatable ball while they do squats. It looks cool on Instagram. It doesn't add a lot of value to you. And if you're tuning into these and you like them, Ad and I love doing them. The single thing we could ask the most is to tell your friends about them. Tell them to tune in if you think they'd be at all interested. And we miss you guys. We can't wait to have people back in the gym.
Great. And if you got a lot out of this and you know someone that probably would get a lot out of this, or we ripped on something they like and you want to shove it in their face, this is going to be on our YouTube page as well. You can find the link in our bio on that.
Much love, everyone.
Later, guys.